Hi again, it's me, Cinnamon, and today I'm doing something a little bit differently and doing a budget forecast for November. So, if you've watched my other videos, you would know that I usually use ynab to budget by paycheck. And while I think that's really good for helping me stick to the money I actually have and also rolling with the punches, I find that I need another tool for getting a higher level overview of my plan for the month. Also, I find that it's a bit cumbersome in ynab to make categories and goals for those categories when you just want to buy small things. I like to remember the small things I want to buy in a month and already have them accounted for in my spending goals. But just having to create all of those physical categories in YNAB is a lot more cumbersome than just making a new line in your Google Sheet. So I will be using both tools still, and I'm really excited to incorporate a budget forecast just spreadsheet in my financial journey. Okay, before I get into the specifics of the forecast, I'm going to go into YNAB and cover some overspending. So I do have some overspending in my stretch goals, and that's because I planned on using money from these stretch goals to buy ibonds. I didn't know, however, that the deadline to buy ibonds with the 9.62% interest rate was October 28th, last Friday. I thought I'd have until the end of the year, but because I didn't have until the end of the year and I really wanted to lock in that interest rate, and I'm glad I did because the interest rate went down to 6.89%, I spent before I really had the money. Yeah, not a great thing to do. I'll be covering that overspending with my relocation bonus, but I intend to pay myself back. So, the reason why I need to pay myself back in my head is because my company has a policy that if you leave the company before a certain amount of time, you have to pay back a portion of your relocation bonus. And I only want to spend what I actually can keep myself. So until I'm able to keep all of the money in my relocation bonus, I don't want to spend it all. And as you can see, I've almost spent it all, and I haven't stayed the amount of time I would need to stay to keep all the money. So with that explained, I'm going to go into November. And you can see that I already have some money to assign here from interest and some overspending from my rent and my renter's insurance, which come out on the first of the month. But before I get into covering that, I will go back into my forecast and go over my plan. So in my forecast, it is not pretty now. I'll make it pretty later. I just really want to get this video up. I do plan on getting 2 paychecks and 3 reimbursements. And I'm not very good at saying numbers, so I'm going to be rounding out all of the numbers I say. My paychecks are usually $5,700, and these reimbursements will change month to month depending on what I spend. So I think I'm getting about, $950 in commute and relocation reimbursements, which will hit my paycheck, and $50 in a phone reimbursement, which I will get as a separate transaction. All of that comes out to $12,400 in gross income. So my taxes aren't taken out yet, and we'll see what my taxes will be with my paycheck deductions. So my first deduction is actually a cost that will be my health insurance. And then I have my 401k contribution for $2,500. And this will be the last 401k contribution I will be making this year before I hit the max. So I'm very excited for that. And my next paycheck deduction will be HSA contributions. I'm starting that this month because looking into it, getting the upfront tax break is beneficial in my mind. And also, I have the flexibility and budgeting skills now that I think I can roll with the punches of having a lower paycheck. So, with the 401k contribution and the HSA contribution, I will be contributing about $3,800 this month to investments just through my paycheck deductions. And with these deductions, I will end up paying about $3,000 in taxes. I find that it is pretty hard for me to keep up with the tax situation because I change my deductions so much month by month and paycheck by paycheck. But I did use ADP's salary paycheck calculator thing, and I find that it's actually been reasonably accurate for the paychecks I've already received. So I checked it against that and it was actually overestimating. So I'm really hoping this number is close, if not an overestimate, usually, just by a couple dollars. So if it is accurate, I will feel a lot more comfortable doing these forecasts because I'll get a pretty good idea of the tax situation. In total, after my paycheck deductions, I'm going to be having $5,495 hitting my checking account. Now, with my HSA, I've actually already saved the money I wanted to contribute to my HSA, and I planned to make that contribution on my own outside of my payroll. But now that I'm doing it through payroll, I'm actually going to be reimbursing myself from my savings for my HSA to cover what I'm doing in my payroll. So that's why these numbers match. And just to show what I'm talking about, I'm going to go back into ynab, and you can see here in this category group, I already have this HSA contribution set aside. I was just waiting to actually make the contribution to make sure that I was able to cover my day-to-day expenses and then know, okay, I am free to make this contribution because I do have the extra money for it. And I wanted to make sure I didn't have any big expenses popping up. And I was going to wait until the end of the year. So, considering the HSA reimbursement I'm giving myself for my savings, I will have $6,800 to assign throughout the month. Now, here's the interesting part to me, my actual spending. So, I do have my usual spending categories, which are my rent, my renter's insurance, my utilities, my other utilities, which is a sinking fund for my water bill that comes quarterly, my phone bill, and my transportation to work. I have my transportation expenses for work in red because I think it's going to be pretty high this month and it's just something I want to keep an eye on. Everything I have in red is something I want to keep an eye on during the month. All of these usual expenses come out to $2,090. And I'm going to hide them for now because they're just boring, usual stuff and not really stuff I want to discuss too much. For the stuff I do want to discuss, I want to talk about starting my Google storage. So that is $2.17, and I really did plan on canceling it this month, and I was going through the process of transferring my photos and documents over. I was getting pretty emotional just seeing the things I wrote in middle school and those photos of myself, and I was starting to realize that this is a pretty emotionally taxing process, and I don't want to just rush it to save the $2. I really want to take my time with it. I want to be done with it by the end of the year, but I'm keeping an eye on it and not going to force myself to just barrel through it because it was really actually hard for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Has anybody else had that experience, like going through their old photos and things like that? Oh God, I just miss being in middle school. Like, that was honestly the best time of my life, which I know is very atypical for people. Anyway, my next category is my diet category. I have this in red because if you've been watching my other videos, you would know this is something I've been overspending on for the past 2 months by 100%, like spending double, over double what I would plan. I do really believe this month I'll be able to rein in my diet spending because one, I am so tired of eating out. Like, it just doesn't taste good to me, it drains me. And two, I'm really enjoying the food I've been able to make at home. So, my goals for this month with my diet are that I just want to order takeout at most 2 times this month, and I want to cook one meal entirely from scratch this month. So, I'm really excited for that. And part of my diet category, I want to also call out that I'm going to be buying, or possibly going to be buying, about $30 in supplements. Everyone on Twitter is like, get vitamin D, get vitamin D. I did buy a multivitamin last month. I don't know if I need to buy additional vitamin D yeah, in November. I'm gonna look into it, so I might not end up spending this $30, but it's something I wanted to separate out for this month. So my philosophy for that is, or for this forecast, is that I give myself $120 a week to spend on food. And for 4 months or for 4 weeks, that's going to come out to $480. And as you can see in my diet category, these two amounts will add up to 480. So that is the plan of, again, having the category group of diet. But if I plan on buying supplements 1 month, I don't want to make another category just for that at the time. I just want to have it in the sheet as a call out. Okay, on to the next items. So I plan to spend $45 at a lunch with my coworkers. I actually have no clue if it's going to cost money, if it's free. I feel like it's maybe going to be free. It's not something that's sponsored by the company, I don't think. I I really didn't ask too many questions. I just accepted the invite. So I'm putting away $45 for that just in case. And that's coming from my skill development group. And I'm also putting away $60 in transportation for that. And the reason why, again, this is going to really depend on, is this a company official event? I'm not sure. If it is a company official event, I could possibly get this transportation cost reimbursed. The reason this number is high is because it's going to be in the middle of the workday that I'm going to this event, and I would have to take an Uber both ways. And I'm also not sure what that cost, the Uber cost would be, because the Uber prices are so dependent on how busy it is, like the surge pricing. So I'm overestimating for now because I do not want to be under and have to cover overspending this month. And again, these kind of things, because I'm unsure about whether this is company sponsored or not, these are in red so I can pay attention to how these things actually go. Next, part of my health and hygiene. So I already have a budget for that. $30 in that category. I'm planning on spending on hair accessories. So I already have a silk pillowcase and I've been relying on it a little bit too much and have not been wearing like a satin scarf to protect my hair when I go to bed. So I want to get a new one or a few new ones and maybe some other hair accessories just to really protect my hair at night. Next, I have some dentist visits this month. As you probably saw in my Sing Me Fun budget, I am going to be getting braces. I'm excited, but I will have to be going to the dentist a lot this month, and because this will be things like kind of in the middle of the workday, I will probably have to take some Ubers, and that's why I have $45 set aside for transportation to the dentist. I also have a lot of social events this month. This is something I'm really excited for. So I plan on going to the movies with a friend, and I have $45 set aside for the a ticket for myself, maybe some food and transportation. So I like to think of social events and the expenses that come with them. I typically like to just package them all together because it's easy for me to think, oh, I spent $45 like round trip for this movie, instead of thinking and separating out as, oh, this was transportation, this was food, this was the ticket, and putting that into three different categories. So like transportation, food and diet, and maybe just the ticket in the social activity category. That is one way to do it, but for me, I like to just package the social activity all into one budget. Next social activity I have will be going to a cafe. Food can be expensive, but at cafes, I typically don't tend to get that much. So this I feel like will mostly be in transportation. This one is suspicious. Yeah, it's gonna be around Thanksgiving time, possibly. So there aren't exactly concrete plans yet. That's why I put cover XYZ. Not sure if it's just gonna be food. So this might be too much. This might be too little. Yeah, this is just to make sure I'm a little covered and have an idea of what I could be spending for this. For transportation, though, I know I can definitely take public transportation for this, so this is mostly going to be for the food and the activity. Okay, now are my discretionary categories. So, like I said, I have some specific things for transportation I'm calling out, like going to my coworker lunch, but I also just want to have extra transportation money for taking Ubers back from the grocery store and other things like that. So I want a little bit more flexibility in that sense. And I usually give myself $90 for transportation a month. So you can see I gave myself $60 plus $45 plus another $60, which puts me $75 over the $90 threshold I usually give myself. I also like to give myself $60 in my health and hygiene category. I already broke down $30 of that specifically for my hair accessories, so I'm gonna have another $30 discretionary. I usually give myself $60 in skill development. I have $45 of that set aside for the coworker lunch, and I want to give myself an extra $30 leeway because it seems like there's a lot of social things happening this month, which would put me $15 over the $60 mark. I have $90 set aside for aesthetic expenses. I don't have any specific things I plan on spending on for that. My hair accessories, I am considering part of health and hygiene because the satin scarf is for the health of my hair, okay? I will not be going outside in it that often. So, yeah, not going over in this category. I think I usually set aside 120 for social activities. Um, so as you can see, I already accounted for $45 of that. 30 of additional dollars of that bring me at 75 here. Then another $60 of that. And with the $60 leeway I'm giving myself, that's gonna put me at $105 over in that category. I just had to redo my math here. I feel like something was off, and I think I was right. I usually give myself 120 in this category, so I should actually only be $75 over what I usually give myself with the $60 buffer. Yeah, I wonder why that math was wrong. I will double check that. So I need to change this here to be 75. We'll see how this works out. I will definitely review this when I go back into ynab. So I usually give myself $300 in discretionary spending, but to cover what I plan on going over in my other categories, so the 75 here, the 15 here, and the other 75 here, I will have $135 that is like truly discretionary. So they're like layers of buffering that I do. That is just how I like to think about things. And with that, I will be spending 2,000, nope, $3,293, woo, and 3 cents. Okay, getting really good at saying numbers now. Total for my core spending categories, and that will put me $37.83 under what I allow myself with my 1 month ahead group. So with that, I will have $3,583.49 remaining, and this will be used for short-term and long-term savings. Before I get into that, I want to double check this math here a little bit. Yeah, I think the mistake came about because maybe I had just had a lapse in thinking and thought I had given myself a $90 budget for social activities instead of a $120 budget in social activities. Okay, with this remaining, I plan to put $1,468 in my sinking funds. This is slightly different, I think, from the number I uploaded in my most recent video. Again, I always go back and make changes offline, but just if you're interested, I will flash to the breakdown. So this is that breakdown, and maybe you can spot where things changed. And I'm putting nothing into savings, and I'm paying myself back for my investments. So how much can I pay myself back in my investments? So I will be putting about $2,000 into my investments, which is me paying myself back for the ibonds that I bought. And this is how much I will still need to pay myself back for my ibonds. Oops. And this is how much I will still need to reach my 60% stretch goal, which again, I thought I was not going to bother with this year, but because I did buy those ibonds, I do feel like I need to get back on track with that. Okay, so this is my zero base budget from for the month, but I do want to call out some things I will be spending for my sinking funds as well. So I have a hair appointment, or I plan on having a hair appointment, and that will be $120. I have the braces down payment, and then I have another social activity, but because I'm getting this person a gift, that's what the spending will be. It's coming from one of my sinking funds. So that's going to be $30. And I also want to do some Cyber Monday shopping. So this is what I plan on spending from my sinking funds, which is just a little under what I'm contributing to my sinking fund. So not much, you know, thinking in the sinking fund, more like just cash flow and things right now. But I know as time goes on, I'll be much better with that. Okay, so that is my budget forecast. And this video is getting super long, but I do want to go into ynab and make those changes. So I'm gonna put what I just received into my month ahead fund. This is odd, but I'm doing things odd ways. Then I'm going to move what is next month's holding into my ready to assign. So that is great. I'm gonna go here and auto assign. So I have some left over, and I actually need to auto assign for more things. So there, that should be completely funding the month. And I will put the rest of this into my month ahead fund. I'm rushing through this part because this video is getting so long, I can see it. Okay, and finally, I want to move what I plan to move from my discretionary based on my forecast into ynab and reflect that. So all of these categories look generally good. I don't know why this is at 90. I thought it was supposed to be at 60, but okay. This looks good. This is, let's go. Let's see. So I'm giving an extra 75 to transportation, an extra 15 to skill development, and an extra 75 to social. 75 to transportation. 15 to skill development, and 75 to social. Okay, just going to double check that I did this all correct. This is what I have in my discretionary. And I'm going to double check social to make sure everything is adding up to what I want it to be. I want $45 plus $30 plus $60 plus another $60, which is $195. And that is what I have right here. Okay. So yeah, that math fluke was just me misremembering what I normally assign to the category. And this is my new plan. Everything is fully funded and also has enough already padded into it based on what I think I will be spending in the month. Okay, thank you for watching this super long video. And whoa, I have 100 days age of money, so that is a new exciting thing. Okay, bye.